And we begin with a quote. Vita incerta, mors certissima. Life is uncertain. Death is certain. We begin in the morning. You all have made this sort of vow to help Kaliak on this task beyond just what the god of death has tasked you with. Zadka, if we remember, during the time in the Great Ichor, demanded that you kill the remaining 8 Lords of Blight within Craed-Pra. So you're up against both demigods, titans of this world, and now the greatest military force within the continent. But it's what the Divine Arcane wishes to seek out. That's what she's always sought, was the death of the Emperor. You wake up in the morning, prepare yourselves for the day. What are you all doing? We'll start with Onslus.
I think Onslus was awake late into the night, working on that journal page once they had gotten back home to the inn. So I imagine it's probably a rare occasion for him, but he's probably slept in a bit. He's probably still sleeping right now, unless Kaliak wakes him up, which she would know is strange for him. He's normally up with the dawn, doing his prayers outside.
I think she would have left him to sleep. I think she would have probably recognized the fact that they've been journeying now together for 2 weeks. He's probably exhausted. He would probably wake at some point to the sound of her sort of padding around the room and doing her own prayers to Zadka. But I think he would awake to tea steeping in a cup next to the bed.
It would be a groggy morning for him, and he would kind of roll over as she's still in the room.
Yeah, she's praying.
He would take the tea and sit at the side of the bed and take a few sips before standing, looking outside. I imagine because of the lack of sun, it's kind of hard to tell the time.
You still can tell it's a little bit early-ish in the morning. The blue hue of pre-dawn is gone. People have started to mill about. You can see shops opening up, so you could probably imagine it's probably about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning.
In this area, is there... I guess there wouldn't be any wooded area immediately close to them.
There is. Well, at the base of the spine, at the foothills, there's a forest.
But he would have to go outside of the town.
Yes.
To like, yes. Okay. Yeah. I think he would pull out his own items to pray with, and I think he would sit like behind her looking away so that they're both praying in opposite directions, and begin his own prayers to Sanse.
Onslus, as you begin this ritual of prayer and you sort of get into it and you hear Kaliak's words begin to sort of drift away, like you're on your own world. Welcome in, Raiders.
Hi, Jay. Welcome in.
You will notice there is a warmth that sort of cascades down your back, and it's tugging at you like that thread you saw in Oblivion.
I think he looks around the room and then glances out the window.
It's almost like you can see it. You can just see a ray. Almost like it's trying to break through the clouds, but it just can't quite penetrate.
He looks down to the chalice in front of him, filled with the water from the little stopper bottle that he carries around, and he dunks the sun medallion again inside of it and says another prayer to Sanse.
You feel renewed. And mechanically, you will not need your tincture for the next week.
It's pretty good stuff. He clasps the necklace medallion back around his neck, pours the water from the cup back into its stopper bottle, and packs up his things. And I imagine he would not wait for Kaliak to come down for breakfast. He would leave her, if she is still praying, to finish her own prayers.
You get to the door, and that tugging feeling at the base of your skull just melts away, and it's almost pleasant. Like the same feeling as somebody playing with your hair. There's a tingle, but not unwanted. Lesh, what are you doing this morning?
I think Lesh is probably performing his normal routine of the morning. He wakes up, he'll grab a breakfast beer, he'll go back to his room, and he'll set about maintaining his equipment. Like it's important, it's his lifeline.
You know this, and you know the difficulties that come to maintaining steel and iron within an everlasting reign. Is there anything that you do in particular other than just keeping things dry?
Oil it. That's the best way to honestly keep it from rusting, is to constantly keep it oiled. So he would keep it oiled, and I think for the first time, he would probably look upon his gift. And would do that whole, like, holding his sword in one hand and holding the gift in another and just looking at them.
It sings to you. The blood blade is a magnificent weapon. You know that and you recognize that fully. But the blood that runs through it, sitting in stasis, it almost looks molten, viscous. Like it's some other substance that isn't the direct blood of your charge. But it does sing to you, and it sings to you in Kaliak's voice. It wants to be used. It wants to be drawn. When you were escaping from the Imperator and his men from Vintercello, you would have seen the Black Wolf. The same Black Wolf that you saw in Oblivion. There is an understanding, perhaps you are receiving from this sword, that there is, as much as she's apprehensive to use her magic, there's an underlying understanding of the power that it holds. Like you can command that Black Wolf with that sword. And that is its call.
I think Lesh, in that understanding this, would honestly have a genuine, so do I whistle? What do I do? Kind of thing when it comes to the idea of commanding this wolf. And he still is apprehensive very much in its use. no matter how alluring it may seem, he sees it as knowing the cost that comes with it. There may come a day where he must use it, but it's not going to be today if he can help it.
You get that sense. You get the sense that you don't need to whistle or call back, but you certainly get the sense that there is a day coming that you will need it. And with it comes a great deal of devastation wielded in your hand.
I'm going to go bug Onsilus now.
Radek, you wake up, and there's a woman in your bed.
Hungover as fuck. He'll look at the woman in the bed, see if he remembers anything about it.
She's a whore, you know that.
Well, yeah, but...
You didn't necessarily pay too much for her, but from what you can remember, she was kind enough and fun enough in bed.
I'll let her sleep. He's going to go and do a little bit of a, basic rub some water in his armpits and on the back of his neck, kind of cleaning. He's going to come back with some water, and I want to, after he's made his offerings and his prayers to the Leshy in the morning, he's going to come back with a pot of boiling water. And last game, I had bought some nettles, some stinging nettles.
Yep.
He's going to boil some water, and then he's going to infuse the stinging nettles in it. And let it boil until it thickens and makes this kind of slight gray, kind of silky, gooey material. And he's going to scrape that out, and he's going to have acquired like a couple of little vials, and he's going to fill the vials with them. He is going to take one of these vials, and he's going to wake up the girl in the bed.
She startles.
It's okay. Do you know how to write?
No.
Do you know someone who does?
I do.
Can you find them and bring them to me? And if you do, I will give you this. And I show her one of the little bottles. You wash your hair with it, and it's going to make it very shiny and very soft. It's going to smell very good too. It's going to be very good for attracting
patrons is the word that you're looking for. What is it that you want to write?
I want someone to write a little message.
Why can't you? Do you not know how to write?
No?
Very good, I suppose. And she'll get dressed very unceremoniously. She is not shy. This is a common occurrence for her. And she gets up and she leaves. She's not gone long, probably 10 minutes or so. And you hear a rap at your door.
I will go open the door.
There's a portly woman standing outside, best described as handsome. There's a scar that runs along her face from mouth to ear. This is a hard working lady. You can imagine this is probably the owner of the brothel that you procured your evening company from.
You read and write?
I do.
I need you to write something very simple here and provide some scrap paper, and I will pay whatever would seem reasonable, like for a little service like that. Like, I don't know what the economy is like.
1 pien.
I'll give her a pien.
Yeah, just 1 iron. That's perfect.
Okay. So I'll give you that. I want you to write to wash the hair with.
Okay, and she does so.
Thank you. I'll take the paper when she's done. I'll fold it. Do you want to fuck or do you have to leave?
I have a business to run. She
Okay.
sort of turns on her heel. And the girl who you had spent the night with is standing there sort of awkwardly.
Oh, you're still here. All right, great. Come in.
No, I have a morning to get to. And she turns on her heel as well and leaves you standing there.
I have money.
They've gone.
He will take the remaining bottle that he's got and he's going to wrap the piece of paper around it, and he's going to go to Anselus and Kaliak's room, and he's going to deposit the little bottle with the paper just at the bottom of the door on the floor.
As you approach the door, Radek, you hear footsteps behind you. They're quick and nimble.
I will not stop moving, but I will sort of do a and take a look.
You see no one.
Trying too much again.
You hear the sucking of teeth and the tutting of a woman.
I'll turn and face the direction.
No one stands there, but you can feel a layer of disappointment.
What do I know of, ghosts, spirits, invisible people, whatever?
You know that at times when the veil is thin between the mortal realm and the great Ichor, spirits may find a way to communicate, be it by smell or sound. And you know that being close to Kaliak, the veil is a little bit thinner on a regular day regardless.
If he's not seeing anything else, he'll say, "You sound disappointed. Better get used to it." And I'll turn back and...
You could swear you almost feel like somebody grabbing your hand to pull you back, but it's gone in an instant.
He stops and hesitates for a second. Then he goes and he does what he was going to do.
And what is that?
Place the little bottle of the conditioner with the pepper at the bottom of the door, and then go downstairs and get some alcohol.
Perfect. Lesh, you descend the stairs and you see Anselus there. I'm assuming Anselus is eating and keeping to himself.
Good morning.
Hello, Lesh.
You slept good, yeah?
Well enough. Everything all right with you?
It's okay. Very well. Yes, no, everything's okay. Yeah. Thought there'd be a little more pep in your step this morning, but I guess not.
Or what? He looks genuinely confused.
We're just gonna overlook. Okay.
I feel as though I'm missing something.
Nope. Okay. So, what's the plan that you got going on this morning? What's have you seen the stinky one?
No, I haven't. Isn't he usually up by now?
Normally, I think so, but yeah, no, he had at least 1 or 2 whores with him last night.
Well, perhaps it'll be a late rise for him as well this morning.
Well, from sharing a wall with him, he definitely rises very frequently. But, you know...
He looks confused again.
You make men talk so very complicated. I need you to know that.
I feel as though you are suggesting things.
You know what? How's the beer this morning? Is it good? It's good? Okay, let me get the beer. Yeah, he just straight up, sir, let me get the beer.
You drink beer in the morning.
Yeah.
Interesting. He looks down at his own mug. I would imagine he's got like goat's milk.
Yeah, milk and honey.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. He's a milk and honey boy in the morning.
Yeah. And he's like, honestly, like if you have a hangover, right? If headache from drinking too much the night before, you have a beer in the morning and it makes the hangover go away.
I can't say that I've ever experienced a hangover.
You know, the longer we're on this trip, Onslus, I'm learning you haven't experienced much, which is telling, but also just makes you such a sweet boy.
I spent a lot of decades inside of a library, away from people.
I know. We'll work on the people skills. It'll be okay.
I don't know if I want to experience this hangover thing.
Well, you know, it's like a rite of passage. Like everybody's got to have at least once. Mm-hmm. Ask Redick when he comes. Everybody's got to have at least one hangover in their life.
Right.
Generally reflecting on all the bad choices you made the night before.
This sounds like a very intellectual ritual. It's unfortunate that I haven't experienced this.
I'm just going to say, given the skills that you do have, it amazes me on a regular basis the lack of skill you possess in other things. Like I would almost certain you've read about it in the book somewhere. But then you don't. And
elaborate, please.
Did you read much romance while you were in the books, in the libraries?
Are you trying to talk to me about sexual intercourse currently, Lesh?
I believe I am. Because I'm just... Have you known the touch of another? It doesn't have to be just a woman, could be a boy. I don't particularly know your proclivities, but if Redick has his way, it'll be boys. Have you known that experience at all, or do you simply know the science of it, for lack of a better term?
Are these things that men often discuss?
Yes. Yes, you will be sure to know that by the end of breakfast, Redick will ensure that we know the full dimensions, ins and outs of his particular horror of the evening. That will be discussed. But the moment Kaliak shows up, it all stops.
I'm trying to decipher why my promiscuity or lack thereof is any of your business, Lesh.
It is our business only in the sense that if we're going to continue along this chain of events that seems to be set before us, I really would feel bad if you left this plane of existence without knowing all that it has to offer.
Right. And he just looks down into his dish and starts eating.
Radek, you come upon a conversation that is most curious.
Scandalous.
He pulls a chair up, sits down, and goes, "Whew. She smelled like a wildebeest, fucked like one, but tasted like the loam. Just my kind of woman."
Les just does this number and looking at Anselus.
Is that attractive for you?
What?
Whatever you just said.
Oh, it's one thing that is. There are many things that are attractive to me. Sometimes you need something that reminds you of the earth and of the reality of life and its filth and the very essence of nature. And sometimes it's nice when they have silky hair that smells very nice and that they've just stepped out of a nice warm bath. I mean,
or a library.
I find that
I imagine that you guys are flanking him right now with this discussion. In my mind, that's what's happening. He's just...
There is a world full of possibilities, permutations, experiences to be had, and I, for one, intend to die having sampled as many as I can. Fool is the man who contends himself with the same meal every night. Mushrooms are fine, but eventually fuck mushrooms, you know what I'm saying?
He does not literally mean fuck the mushrooms.
No.
Anselus, just to be clear.
You like a light bulb goes off in Anselus's head, and he looks to Lesh. No, I didn't fuck her.
Oh, okay.
And then he goes back to eating again.
I think in this moment you just see a small bag of iron coin slide across in front of Anselus over to Radek, and he just goes back to the drinking.
Are you making bets on what happens in my room?
No.
You hear the door open and close to that room. And the padding of feet descending down into the lower part of the tavern, and Kaliak has appeared in her new dress.
Anselus stands and gives her a bow of his head. Good morning.
Good morning, Radek and Lesh. Good morning.
Good morning, indeed.
Kaliak.
And you see Anselus tucked up under her arm is that book that you gave her. And she sits and joins you, and we'll order something of porridge, and again, same as Anselus, milk and honey.
Anselus sits back down. I see your new dress fits you. Suits you well.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What are the discussions this morning?
Oh, just men talk. What's you reading there? What is the book you have?
It is a book that Anselus gave me.
Oh, may I?
He's just looking at his food
May I?
and eating.
Like Lesh extends a hand. May I?
She looks at it. She's got a dog ear, Anselus, so you can tell she's read quite a bit so far. No. It's sacred.
You see, like Lesh is 100% the whole like, yeah, secret. Got it.
Yes. And she goes back to her food.
I should learn how to read someday. Might come in useful.
Do you not know how to read?
No, not much need for it where I come from.
No, the priestess has taught me how to read and write. I'm quite good with my letters.
That's good. That's probably useful for someone in your profession as, the Avatar of Death.
No, my day-to-day work is quite simple, really. It's tending to those who are dying.
That's what I said, the Avatar of Death.
I suppose, I guess. When you say it that way, it does seem so grand, and which is a little bit ironic that she's saying it that way, because it is.
Yeah, obviously. That's what Radek's like. I don't know. I think, Kayak, that ever since we met, you've seen the same things I've seen, and they seemed pretty grand to me, so...
I suppose so. And she sort of blushes and goes back to her food and is sort of just milling about with it, pushing it around. The door to the... Go ahead.
No, I wasn't going to say anything.
Okay. The door to the tavern opens, and you see a young woman come in, and she is talking hurriedly to the barkeep and seems a little bit upset. You can see Kalyak's attention drawn over to her. You don't hear the whole conversation as the general ambient noise of the tavern kind of goes on, but you can hear her asking about a particular herb, mullein specifically. You know that this is a medicinal herb, Radek, that this is typically used for some sort of lung issue. You hear the panic in her voice, and most specifically, you hear her mention, "I don't know what the city will do if she dies." You all would know, or could assume, surmise, that they are talking about a witch.
Radek's gonna lean into the two of them and go, "It seems the local wise woman is ailing."
Anselus looks to Kalyak.
I said ailing, not in need of dying. They're trying to prevent that.
Her eyes are deep. There's a sadness lingering there. If they have a dying hearth witch, it would perhaps benefit her if we saw to her.
Perhaps our herbalist, and he looks to Radek, will have something that could help her.
It depends. If she's unable to tend to herself and she is the village wise woman, I don't know that I'll have much help, but I'm happy to help, happy to see what I can do. What was it that she was asking for?
Mullein. You wouldn't necessarily have mullein. It's not really like a typical herb that you would keep.
What about something like coltsfoot or licorice, which is also all used for respiratory disease or perhaps time for expectorant and antibacterial effects?
You could try.
Perhaps we go see the woman.
Antiviral and antifungal. I'll get up and go to... Oh, sorry. Who was the person who came in asking this?
It's a young woman. She's maybe 19 or 20. She's pretty young and seems to be sort of caked in soot. You can tell that she works with a hearth and probably works with the hearth witch.
I'll walk up and I'll say, excuse me, I couldn't help but hear what you were saying. Someone is ill. I know a bit about remedies and such.
Yes, the hearth witch of the city, Irina. And she's just immediately blubbering to you, just tears. This is just a...
I grab by the shoulder and I say,
puddle.
hey, it's okay. It's going to be fine. You just need to take a deep breath and tell me what's happening. What signs is she showing? What are the signs that she is showing?
Her lung is they're weeping. Her and my younger sister, Nadia, are both, they have the weeping lung. You would know, Radek, there is a disease that kind of floats about here and there closer to mining towns. You can assume that perhaps it has something to do with the metal in the air. Mm-hmm. Effectively, it is the same as pneumonia, right? So the lungs are filled with fluid. There is not much that you can do with it other than to help clear that up and alleviate symptoms. The young typically do better, but the elderly are doomed to their fates.
And is this something that is viral? Like, can it be caught by other people, or is it just...
No.
Okay.
No, it's... it's not a shedding virus.
Would I have on hand, or would I know what I would need to do something to try and help the younger one, but to just sort of ease the pain of the older one?
You would need Mullen, which is
what she was asking about.
Asking for, yeah.
And is there a place to get Mullen here?
You're asking the girl this.
Yeah.
Yes, outside of the city, there is a brook that the Mullen sort of grows close to. I haven't had a chance to go out, and I'm taking care of them both, and I just need some help, please. I beg of you.
Okay.
Adventure time.
I'll take the girl and I'll go back to the table. If it seems that the Earth Witch and another young woman are affected by what sounds like weeping lung, perhaps Kalyak and Ansalas, you would be willing to go tend to them so that this young lady may show Lesh and myself where we can get the herbs necessary to help them.
The young woman looks to Kalyak and bows her head deeply. I know that you are a priestess, are you not? You can tell that perhaps rumors have begun to circulate through the city. But from your encounters with the people, you are probably safe. Kalyak looks to you, Ansalas. Would it be okay if we went?
Of course.
The young woman nods hurriedly and begins for the door. And I'm assuming you all follow her. Okay. She takes you down the city streets to a small row house. Its stilts are heavily rusted. The exterior is top to bottom covered in moss, except for the door frame, which holds the runic signs of a witch. The interior is wafting out a smell heavy of herb and medicine. It sort of is a pungent scent, but the door is opened by the woman, who explains that her name is Mila and invites you all in.
Bones, before we go in, as I've done before, Rag's gonna wait a little bit till the others file in, and he's gonna reach down and grab some mud, and he's gonna draw his own protection symbol next to the symbol of the witch.
Yeah, of course.
The one that he draws to ward off the witch's evil eye from him.
Perfect, no problem. Inside, the hearth is blasting, and it is sweltering when you get in. The room itself that you enter is effectively the entire house. There is a cast iron cauldron bubbling over. There are trinkets dangling from the ceiling and the rafters, sigils of the gods, and icons of Domovoi. This is a very devout household that you have entered. To the far end, there are two beds side by side, two small cots side by side, and in one you see this withered old woman as she is sort of gasping every so often. And next to her is a small child, a little girl who has been marked in soot with a sigil of the witches. There is a heaviness in this place. You can feel death nearby. Kaliak immediately goes to the bedside and begins to pray.
I'll look at Lesh and the young girl. They'll be all right with our friends. Would you like to show me where to get the herbs?
Yes, I have a horse. Do you have horses? You
Yes.
would have stabled them, of course. Real quick, Onslus, do you do anything in particular when you get into this home?
I don't believe he does. I think he is very quiet and respectful. He's kind of standing off to the side and allowing Kaliak to kind of take the reins on this one.
Okay, and with her praying, she does that. Lesh, do you do or say anything before you set off with Radek and Mila?
I think the only thing that he does is he double checks with Onslus to make sure that Onslus is armed.
But I'm armed?
Yeah, like do you have a dagger or anything on you?
I think he shows you his arms.
He slips you a dagger, and he simply says, "Don't lose this."
Onslaught pushes it away. He lifts up a fold of his robe and you see his own dagger pushed away there, and it is very ornate. It is a beautiful specimen of a dagger.
You stab anyone with that?
I haven't had the pleasure yet.
Okay, good. Never trust the old ones.
Are you suggesting I try and stab a dying woman?
I'm just saying. And he looks over at her. Sometimes they play possum.
You're a strange man.
I'm a cautious man.
He's also still alive.
Well, Mila is at the door, ready to go. Kaliak sort of lifts her head up, and you see that she's taken the hand of the old woman. There are tears in her eyes. This is a very sudden, very visceral response to a stranger, but there's a kinship amongst witches. You could probably assume that. She is not gone from us yet. I do believe there may be a chance she can survive if you can find Mullen.
We'll do our best.
Please do. The city will not survive if there is a Lord of Blight nearby without her.
You look at Anselus. You might want to. Actually, no, I wouldn't say that. Never mind.
Just kidding then. Okay. So you two set out with Mila.
I will say to Mila, though, at some point while we're traveling, I will ask if there's someone that has been trained and prepared to take over for the old lady.
She gives you a long, hard stare, and with the intention of explaining that she is the one to take over.
Okay.
Okay. The horse she rides is not so much a horse as it is a mule. It is a slow ride out of town and into the glen, the local glen nearby. But you make it eventually. Do you say or do anything on the ride there other than that, Radek or Lesh?
I think that I might inquire, one about, a little bit about kind of quiz her to see her state of readiness, but also probably quiz her a little bit about the Lord of Blight that's in the area, if there's anything that she knows, or if she's been taught anything, or,
It's the same information you would have received from Artyom and from the Badger. It's a large being. It shakes like there's coins inside of it. You know that it is this sort of perhaps metallic being. She has never seen it in her lifetime, but she has heard stories of some 30 years ago it ravaging the town.
And is there any particular spirit in this forest that the people fear or pray to other than that, like a local?
So, interestingly enough, she knows of the Leshy, and she understands what the Leshy is, but she has not seen or heard of its presence in quite some years. It's been a while, and she doesn't really understand why. She doesn't understand what would drive a Leshy out.
How long has the mine been operating?
The mine has been operating since before Bogumir took the empire. The Ironcotes have owned those mines since before there was an empire.
And finally, I think I would just kind of very lightly quiz her about, as someone who's near the Hearth Witch, of course, would see many of the people in town, would be privy to a lot of secrets. I would try to kind of quiz her a little bit on the people's feelings towards the Emperor, towards their ruler here, just because I want to say his title, the
Imperator?
The Crawl?
Oh, the Crawl of Artyom?
Yeah. And, kind of just try to get the pulse of the land from someone who's obviously in contact with a lot of people and probably overhears a lot of.
Sure. So you get a sense that there is a certain level of belovedness to Kral Artyom. She does not really make a big fuss about him, but you can see the look in her face that she trusts and loves her Kral. The moment you mentioned Bogumir, though, there is a boldness in this young woman that probably would not go over well in polite society, and she spits on the ground as you mention his name.
A good thing Anselus is not here.
I don't think she would care. I think she would be pretty defiant in her opinions of the crawl.
And so I guess the final thing would be, what has the Hearthwitch been doing, or has she been going anywhere or visiting with anybody, like trying to figure out how she contracted the disease, basically, or if it's just something that happens?
It's something that happens. She does tend to those in need at the mines, so you would assume that she goes to the mines pretty often, and so something within that air would be considered perhaps toxic or create this disease.
Okay, that'll be the extent of this conversation.
Okay, Lesh, do you ask Mila anything or talk to her about anything?
Lesh honestly doesn't, outside of, how long, like the basics, how long have you lived here, what kind of strange things have you noticed? Pretty much he's covering all, but the one thing that he's looking for is when they go to leave the city, what's the status of the guards?
They've perked up. They've eaten. They, when they notice you, they give a wave, or rather a salute, perhaps. But they really haven't had enough time to sort of change their demeanor or their state entirely. It's been a couple of days at best, so.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that, like, it was a, there wasn't still, like, that animosity, you know what I'm saying?
No, they've seemed perked up a bit. They've got some food in their bellies, so you see them sort of just tinkering around. They're probably, now that they're done with their checkpoint, going to move on and return back to the Iron City for orders.
Outstanding. All right. I mean, outside of that, any sort of questions that he had, Radek already covered.
Okay, great. So you make your way through this glen, this sort of open field. You get a sense, though, that somebody has been through here. A lot of things like brush has been sort of knocked over. Horses travel often, but not so much off the path. You guys have taken to actually riding through the field itself, and you are not alone, or you weren't alone at this point. Are you guys looking for anything in particular as far as keeping an eye out for anyone? Are you sort of...
I mean, I definitely have the Yaga flying up above and kind of doing circles and keeping an eye out to see if anyone's... I'm mostly worried about, my brother or something like that sneaking up on us, kind of thing. So kind of keeping an eye out.
She doesn't signal for anything. It seems to be all clear. You find where the mullein is growing, and you hear Mila gasp.
What is it?
When you look, so mullein is this like tall plant that sort of like peaks up, right? And it's this bright, vivid green. It has wilted and turned brown. They weren't like this. I was here last week gathering. They weren't like this then. It's too early in the season for them to go bad.
Okay, stop here. I'm going to get off my horse and I'm going to get low to the ground and approach. I'm going to look for any sort of tracks of someone having come here to do something to them. And then once I've kind of gone around and seen for that, I'm going to approach the plants themselves and see if I can try and figure out what happened.
You have the tracking skills. You definitely see where horses came and probably stopped about where you're stopping, and then foot traffic.
Can I spend one of my luck points?
Yeah.
And
what are you gonna do?
I want to spend my luck point to try and figure out exactly what it is that they did to the plants. What did they use? How did they use it? How many of them were there? That kind of thing. Like I want to try to, almost kind of like see what happened.
I love that you asked that.
Oh God.
You see, first of all, I'll give you this.
May I retract my statement?
No, you don't. Yeah. You do see a small batch of mullein that can be harvested, but it's not much. It's enough for one. Okay. You know this as an herbalist. You know that what you gather here, it's either the old woman, it's either the witch or the child gets it. Okay. And most importantly, you smell the very distinct scent of not just blood, but menstrual blood. You see it, Radek, that jar that was hanging off of Cyril's hip. He's done something with that blood. Poisoned it in some way. And has taken the time to remove a vital herb to this people.
I want to... Tell me if I can do this.
Okay.
When I see that there is a little bit of the herb left, I want to try to harvest it without the others realizing that I have it. And I will spend a luck point for that.
How do you do that?
I think I would do it as I'm moving around, kind of looking for the cause, and I would kind of be talking about there seems to be traces of this or that, like kind of cover what I'm doing as I'm picking up bunches of it, and putting them away, but kind of pretending that I'm still kind of digging around and trying to find the root cause of what happened.
Yeah.
And at some point when I realize what you just told me, I am going to look up to Lesh and go, be on the lookout. There might be some of our friends from the other night lurking around.
I think Lesh, how long do you need?
Not long, a few more minutes.
I think Lesh draws his sword and then kind of spurs his horse on a little bit to kind of range out just a little bit to see if he can see anything.
Okay. While you are doing that, let's check in real quick. Onslus, Kaliak is sort of sitting there soothing this woman. Are you doing anything in the house?
I think Onslus is moving about the house, drifting over towards their hearth, with their hearth witch sick and possibly dying. He wants to see how kept up this is in the tradition, in the old ways. Really just kind of putting the pieces together. Is there someone here that would kind of pick up the mantle, or is this the end?
You do. You see that there is a bowl of milk and honey set by the hearth. There's bread that's being turned into that's been baked and cut for the domovoi. The sigils that sort of dangle from the rafters are these small twigs sort of twisted and wound with yarn into shapes and faces of the domovoi. So this is a pretty heavily religious and heavily set household, set in the old ways. You get a sense after talking with Artyom that this whole city is that way.
What is the state of the woman now?
She's just gasping every so often. She shudders in her breath. There is sweat forming on her brow. The little girl next to her is about the same, and she coughs a bit. The woman, though, You see the color draining from her face. There is almost nothing left in the color of her lips.
I think after he's kind of paced around the home, he will move to stand in the doorway where Kaliak resides with the woman and the child. And he will very quietly observe her with them and wait there for if Kaliak needs anything. But he's, again, just very respectful, very quiet. This is not his place, and he knows that. And he is here to protect Kaliak, whether that be physically or if she needs something.
Okay. You hear a crackling behind you, like something's shifting in the hearth.
He turns and glances to it.
You see a face there, covered in soot, with a long beard, an elderly man there amongst the flames.
I think he very cautiously walks towards the flames and kneels before it. And as he does, he will greet this creature in the old tongue. Something he speaks beautifully.
The creature's eyes go wide. Do you speak the old language?
I do.
What man speaks the old language?
Those of us who pay attention, who wish not to forget.
No, you mustn't forget ever. The gods are watching Angelus.
I can feel them.
Do you know that sometimes there are those that speak to the gods and those who have more hidden roles?
What do you mean by this?
You have someone with a hidden role amongst your traveling party. They don't quite know it yet.
Who is it?
I cannot tell you, but I know it is good. But I have a warning.
Very well then. Wise one.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown. You mind that.
He glances behind him to the room where Kaliak is with the dying woman. Will they live?
One will live, and one will die. You just have to figure out which one is more important than the other.
How do you put something like that on life? How do you weigh souls?
The Domovoi smiles. Do you look to the past, or do you seek the future? Both can be the same.
Very well. Thank you, Spirit.
Thank you, Anselus. And it slinks back into the hearth until all you see is soot on stone.
I think he takes a hunk of his morning bread that he had saved in his pocket, tears off a piece of it and soaks it in a bit of the milk left and places it on the hearth.
You see a hand, small and with gnarled knuckles, reach out and take the bread and slide it into the hearth.
He stands and he'll return to his post on the doorway, not interrupting Kaliak, but pulling from his robes the pendant of the sun he wears around his neck, giving it a small kiss, and then rubbing it between forefinger and thumb, whispering prayers in his mind as he watches Kaliak.
Okay. Lesh and Radek.
On the way back, I want to hardcore quiz the girl on her abilities and her readiness to take over for the old lady, but I also want to know about the young one. And I'll ask her who she is and, you know, kind of try to get a sense of who the young one is and what her role might be.
The young girl is another apprentice of the Hearth Witch you learn from Mila. She is more of a sister to Mila than just a cohort, but she came from the woods. They don't know who were her parents. She was just an infant when the old woman Irina found her in a bassinet. The way she describes where she was found, though, Radek, it's quite near where you found Oblivion.
I will toss Lesh a look at that. What do you make of that? This young woman found such a place.
I don't wish to pass any sort of judgments. We've been finding young women in strange places for at least a couple of months now. And I can't say that I like it.
No, it just happened to find the girl is a baby. There, I imagine she was dropped off to be left for wolves. Unfortunate circumstances. That remark would give you the sense that she does not know where Oblivion is or what Oblivion is.
Yeah.
There's a certain level of earnestness from Mila.
The old one, aside from what's currently ailing her, is she fairly hale?
She's well most of the time, and she has been strong through many years of hardship.
What about you? Are you ready to take over for her?
I don't want to think about that, but if I must, I must.
I'll quiz her a little bit to try and get a sense of her readiness.
What are you asking her specifically? What are you looking to find out?
Okay, well, there's a question for you first. Like, what would I think would be her greatest challenge or the greatest threat? Is it the Lord of Blight, but they haven't seen him in a while, so I'm assuming it's probably not that big of a deal? Or is it a question of, like, what would be?
It's maintaining the sigils that are hidden around the city to ward off the Lord of Blight. It is working with Artyom if there's a threat from the Apostate Synod or from the Lords of Blight. There is a certain level of counsel she would have with Artyom.
Okay, so I'll quiz her on those things, like, just to see what her state of readiness is.
The moment you ask her about the sigils, she rattles them off like she's been practicing them night and day. She knows what they look like. She knows how to draw them. She knows their names. She knows the old tongue for them. But the moment you mention Artyom and this sort of councilwomanship that she would fulfill, she sort of shirks away a bit. That's not really her strong suit. You can tell this is a young girl. Like, she isn't ready for that level of responsibility. However, because that does play a part in decision making for the city. However, preparing for the Lords of Blight, she's ready. You know this.
Okay. I will tell Lesh that I saw evidence that the plants were destroyed by our mutual friends. And that it seemed to be very... Of course, I'm not going to mention yet the fact that I have a serving of fiber with me, a serving of the flour. I'm not going to mention it yet, but I'll wait till we get there and can get the others around. But I will say that that's what I saw.
If you're saying that the flowers were tampered with, do you think this could be something from your lost brethren attempting to intentionally poison her for some sort of other reason?
There is clearly some intent behind it. I think that we should hold counsel with Anselus when we get to the house.
This is going to sound like an odd question, but I feel the need to ask it. The folk of your kind, the ones you've left, they wouldn't ally themselves with one of the Lords of Blight, would they?
I gave you the darkest look you've ever gotten from me. Not in a, I'm gonna fucking kill you, but in a, shit, we'll talk about it later kind of thing. But yeah, you're on the fucking pit. You're on the right track.
I think Les just kind of gives that knowing eye back. Like, I honestly think at that, his hand shifts from one hilt to another, almost reflexively.
That'll be it for me, unless... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, he just... Yeah. And he just kind of like spurs the horse on with a slightly quicker pace.
Mm-hmm.
So you both, Radek and Lush, have returned from the glen with Mila. You've returned back to the witch's home. I'm assuming you get off your horses and you get in. What do? You find Kaliak still sitting with the old woman and the child. Onslus at his post, watching over her. Nothing too crazy has happened. The woman isn't really digressing or getting better, same with the child.
When we arrive, we'll do the old look at Ansel's and go...
Onslus is going to heed this and step out.
I'll bring Lesh along. I'll
There
tell
an
Kaliak
issue?
to make sure the girl's not following us.
Okay. Well, I think the Mila will go and sit with Kaliak.
So when we got to the field where the herbs grow, I realized they'd all been destroyed. Deliberately. By the Synod.
How did you know?
I found traces of tainted menstrual blood, which they would have used as the basis for whatever concoction they used to destroy the herbs. To your question, Lesh, would there possibly be some kind of alliance between the Synod and the Lords of Blight? One of the things that led to my departing was the fact that Cyril, who you met the other night, my brother, has... I'm sorry, Bones, you're gonna have to...
It's okay.
Tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Yeah.
Did he self-appoint himself a Lord of Blight, or what was the...
He worships the Lords of Blight. You know that he believes he can turn into one.
Okay.
He has self-appointed himself as the leader of the Apostate Synod, though.
Okay. Cyril, the one you met the other night, my brethren, is enraptured by the Lords of Blight. He worships them. He believes that he can himself rise to become one. And so that he would be aligned with them would be just the beginning of the whole affair, really.
Were you able to tell how recently this occurred?
Bones?
Within the last few days.
Within the last few days, the girl said that she was there and the field was fine about a week ago. This is very recent.
So they're close.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they followed us here?
I don't know if they followed us here or if they were coming here anyways, but here's what I think, and I will look around for a stick. Is there a stick somewhere?
Sure.
Never mind, I have a staff. What the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, okay.
I'll take my staff, and I will go to the mud, and I will draw a line. And I will be, this is us. And I'll draw another line parallel to it. This is the other guys. As I'm sure you've noticed, there's a lot happening. A lot of forces seem to be converging, and all of them seem to be interested in Kaliak and us and what we're doing, and it seems that there are many changes afoot. It would make sense that on the other side of this equation, things would be moving also. They're not going to sit there and just let us do this thing. So my feeling is that there is, as much as we have been drawn into something, there's something happening with our enemies also. And while I can't say for certain that they didn't follow us here, I think that there's more to it than that. And I will tell you why I think that. There was enough herbs left to cure one person. And that seems to me to be very deliberate. That there are two of them, one very young, one very old, suffer from the same thing, and then that we find that they've very coincidentally left just enough for one person behind in destroying the herbs. My brother is an infernal beast, but he is cruelly wicked. And so they want us to make a choice. They will benefit in some way from this.
You see, Onslaught doesn't look surprised by this. And who would you choose?
Les, you want to tell Onslaught about the girl? The young one?
They apparently found her.
Found her.
Much like our own passenger. As he's like kind of like looking around to make sure nobody can like kind of hear him. Similar circumstances.
Where was she found?
I'm gonna mess the name up, Bones.
Oblivion.
Thank you. She was found in Oblivion.
Or near where we saw Oblivion.
Interesting. And what is her role now here?
Well, if you ask us to choose between the two of them, the sensible thing would be to let the old lady die. She has less years left. The middle one is already capable of taking up most of her duties and will learn the rest in time.
I see she has already done them. I made myself at home. You were gone. But I ask again, what is the role of this child here?
Don't quite know.
Regardless what it is, if she's the one they want to see live, it can't be good. Now what escapes me is why get her poison at all, or why put us in the position of choosing, because we might just decide that the young one has no value and that the old one is more important. So there is importance in us deciding. And so to answer your question, Anselus, which one do I think should live? I think neither of them should.
I think Les just kind of like...
They want one of them to live. They want us to make that decision. I say we remove all of that from the equation. The middle girl is capable enough to carry on, and whatever else she needs to learn, she'll learn on the job.
Onsolus looks then to Lesh and you. What is your choice?
I have a fundamental problem with allowing the child to die if it can be saved. Hence most of my problems with our current ward. Destiny or not, I would never want a child to die on my watch.
Looking pointedly at Anselus like, and you, buddy?
It seems it will fall to you.
I am torn. Do we spare the child in hopes of the future? Or do we spare the old woman in preservation of our past?
I mean, isn't our whole point here just start over? Isn't that the end of our quest? Is to cause everything to start over? So what is the preservation of the past needed for? The only thing we have left is the future.
But if we forget our past, we'll make the same mistakes in the future.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that for one instance.
Perhaps we ask Koliak what she thinks. Because either way, she will be the one ushering them into their next life. I'll retrieve the girl. And Onslaught is going to step inside and approach that doorway again, this time softly clearing his throat.
Kaliak looks up to you.
Do you mind stepping outside for a moment?
She nods and follows you.
Onsolus brings her outside and looks to Braddock. Tell her what you told me.
The Apostate Synod is responsible for destroying the herbs. The young girl that's inside was found without family or parents, abandoned as a child near where we saw Oblivion. There seems to be a reason for the Apostate Synod, who are very likely allying themselves with the Lords of Blight, for making us choose whether the old woman or the young girl should live.
So you've brought me out here to decide.
You don't have to decide alone, but I do wish to know your thoughts, as you will be the one helping them pass on.
The child was found near Oblivion. Then she was a gift.
From and to.
From the gods, I would imagine. Or the spirits of this world.
Could she be like you?
No, that wouldn't be possible for another century.
But I'm saying for another god.
No. There is one divine arcane per century.
Per god or period?
Period. It is a god who is chosen amongst themselves who decides which power she reigns over. Zadka happens to be the reigning god.
They don't draw straws or anything like that?
I'm not quite privy as to the decision-making and council of the gods. I'm sorry, rather.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't actually know?
No, I know that we are in the era of Zadka.
Right. But they're gods, so they can kind of make up their own rules.
They hold each other accountable. That is what Zadka has informed me.
Sort of like Anselus holds you and I accountable, Lash.
To make a divine arcane is to give up power. To loan it to the vessel, if you will.
The issue here is, what's the end game for the Synod? Why go through all this trouble to set up this choice? They benefit from it somehow, and I think we need to be wary of that and try to make a decision that will rob them of whatever it is that they're hoping to gain from this.
I'm surprised that you failed to realize the key elements. Is it not the Synod who wishes to sacrifice and eat a witch, not poison them? Not withhold medicine from them?
I know that, but that's what you do when you don't have a long-term goal. They may, through their association with the Lords of Blight or some third unknown party now, have other goals in mind, and the satiating of their hunger may no longer be their chief concern. They hunt you for specific reasons, but
perhaps this is a tender heart of mine. But we save the child. If she was taught by this woman, Irina, then she will continue her teachings in life, where Irina will find peace in death.
I think that is what they want us to do.
Forgive me, Radek, for sounding harsh, but I can't in good conscience take a sacrifice that is unwilling. I can't let the child die.
But you take people who are unwilling to die all the fucking time. Every day, every minute of every day. This place is a fucking shithole, but for some odd reason, people still don't want to leave it. Maybe because they expect that the other side's going to be worse. Who knows? But you take people who don't want to go all the fucking time. So, like, what's this all of a sudden?
That has always been my stance. What people do I take? Tell me.
I think he's speaking more on the aspect of death itself. You are an avatar of death.
I don't control death like this, not in the way that you're assuming. The death that I create is magic power.
So then don't do it. Don't do it to these people.
I can't let the child die. She looks to Anselus for guidance.
You say that The old woman seems as though she is ready and willing for this.
Her spirit has accepted her fate.
I think I am ready to give you my answer now. He looks to Radek.
Before you do, consider this. Yesterday, when we were confronted with the rabid wolverines, you all were very ready and eager to get involved in making decisions that would affect a lot of people and cause deaths and sow turmoil for an ending that you felt was worth it. The removal of the Emperor. Why now are you hesitating to kill 2 people when one of them very clearly is the wrong person to let live?
My willingness to kill the Emperor, Radek, is with the clear intention to see that he is a hasty retreat down to Nav where he belongs. Might I finish? The Emperor wishes to see me as a weapon. I don't want to die because he deemed it so. My death is my own. I die on my own terms. This is perhaps a side you have not seen of Kaliak before. This meager meekness is sort of faded away. To let a child live rather than wait her eternity to be reborn when there is hope within her spirit is a decision worth making. The apostates should not be damned, because when I have the opportunity to kill Bogumir, I will also destroy the Synod.
Okay, except that I wasn't talking to you. I was talking to Lesh and Anselus.
Forgive me then.
In this case, it's a preservation of innocence. The child is innocent and should not be fated to die.
I would say simply to you, why do you care? You've said time and time again that nothing matters and nothing can be changed.
That was until last night.
I think the child should live. He looks to Kaliak and then back to Radek. Perhaps you are reading it wrong. Perhaps she is a gift. But only time will tell. And if we make the wrong decision, then let's hope it is us and us alone who suffer those consequences.
He's gonna reach in his pocket and pull out the herbs that he got. He's gonna give them to Anselus. He's gonna say, and once again, we are pawns. The girl should know what to do with those.
Very well. Anselus is gonna go inside.
You hand over the herbs to Mila, and she realizes that it's only enough for one. And she looks to you, Onsilis, with confusion in her eyes. There's no more.
I'm afraid that's all there was.
I would assume that I have direction from the priestess. Who is it?
Spare the child.
There's a long, quiet moment between you and this strange girl. She steeps the herbs and creates her tea. Kaliak returns inside and watches as she holds the child's head, cradling it like a mother would, and gives her the cure to her ailment. You don't know if it's going to work for a long time. Seconds pass like hours. And finally, the child sits upright, gasping for air. Mila wraps her in a blanket and holds her close, sobbing. Yarina lays there quietly, and Kaliak takes her place at her side. Has anybody else entered the building yet, the house yet?
I wouldn't. I would wait outside.
I think Onsilis stands in the doorway, as he has been for the majority of this time. His head bowed.
Do you have a dagger?
He takes a step forward, pulling aside his robe and reaching into the depths there. He unsheathes a dagger. It is very beautiful, ornate. Its blade is carved from pure obsidian, and he hands it to her. Do not fear it.
She takes it and removes the hood of her cloak to cut away a lock of her hair and hands the dagger back to you very carefully.
He takes it.
She places the hair in Irina's hands. Onsilis, you would know to receive the lock of a hair of a priestess of Zadka is the greatest gift a dying person may receive. It is a notice to Zadka that this person was sent with love and to be given great care in her afterlife. Kaliak begins to bleed from her nose. Her eyes roll into the back of her head as she holds the woman. And you hear it. You don't know quite what the power she is using does, but you hear the crackling of magic permeating the air. And then finally, and a long sigh, and silence. Kaliak looks to Mila, who is sobbing. Do you have the vestments for a funeral? And the girl nods, still holding the child, and begins to mill about. Kaliak looks to Onsolus. Find somebody to send word to Kral Artyom and tell him his hearth witch is dead.
Onsolus steps out of the room.
Time is a blur. By the time word gets to Artyom and then to the people, there is a sudden uproar of mourning within the city. There is not much time to sort of react. Suddenly the house is very crowded, and preparations for the body will begin. Kalyok is busy instantly. She begins to wrap and wash Irina in her death and shroud her. But there is an orchestra of instruments being played and crowds of women keening in a harmonious fashion, much like you saw in the City of Tears. This is just the way people mourn in Craed-Pra. It is loud and a cacophony of sound. But there is work to do and a pyre to build and a hole to dig in the burial mound. Do you all help in any way?
I think Onsolus helps by being the one to go to the crawl and tell him himself.
What do you tell him specifically?
I think did he know about the girl or only the hearth witch?
Artyom?
Yeah.
He would have known that there was a girl, a second apprentice. That's what he would have known.
I think he would have told Artyom the truth then. I think he would have informed him about the ruined herbs due to the apostate synod. He would have told him that they were tasked with making a choice, that there was a great debate over it, and that the final word was for the child to live. I think he would have been very honest with Artyom, feeling no real need to lie, lest his lie be realized. And he would rather Artyom be on his side to some degree, whatever that may be with Artyom.
When you tell Artyom, he takes your shoulder in a firm grip and bows his head to pray.
Onsolus does the same.
Lesh and Radek, while this is happening, what are you two doing?
Helping with any of the manual labor requirements, whether it be grave digging or preparing a funeral pyre or anything along those lines. Because there's always those jobs that need to be done that most of the time people in mourning don't want to do.
Okay. And Radek, do you help at all?
I think Radek's going to help by going outside of town with Yaga and kind of looking around, not going too far out, but kind of looking around for other signs of the synod or if anything else has gone down. Like, he certainly suspects that this will not be the only, the last time we hear of them. So I think he would busy himself with patrolling around outside and kind of trying to get a look at if they're still around, if there's anything else, You
don't see anything. Yaga doesn't alert to anything, but it's a good choice to make, for certain. When the body is ready to be transported to the pyre, Kalyak emerges first. I would imagine, Onslus, you've returned back to the witch's home at this point, and she has found herself back in full regalia. The Kokoshnik standing so perfectly balanced on the top of her head. It is grand and oppressive. The vestments in which she wears are long and trailing and too big for her. They slump off of her shoulders and her back, revealing just a hint of the scarring on her flesh. But she looks so beautiful for such a time so terrible. Her head is held high. And eventually, 4 men, pallbearers for this purpose, carry Irina's body out on effectively a slab, while her body is shrouded and covered in chrysanthemums and moonflowers. It's beautiful, this sight. There is a procession that begins from the witch's home to the funeral pyre, which is set just behind the Krall's great house. Radek, are you still out of the town patrolling, or do you come for the procession?
I mean, I don't think he specifically is going to come back for the procession, but he's going to come back once he figures that he's seen what there is to see. So if that's an hour, that's an hour. If that's half a day, it's half a day. But once he's like confident that they're not just standing outside waiting, or that, he'll come.
Okay, that's perfect. And then Lesh and Onslus, do you participate in the procession?
Yeah.
Yes.
You make it to the pyre, and the funeral rites begin. Kalyak is in her element in a way that you have never seen before. She is stoic and confident as she prays over the body. And I'm going to use a luck point.
Uh-oh.
As the body burns and is prepared to put the remains in the ground, Yaga alerts. You hear a thunder of horses, and they have breached the wall. They were waiting for you in your most vulnerable moment. The crowd erupts into a roar of frenzied screaming and panic. You hear your brother's laugh, Radek. It is loud and echoes over all the shouting. People are rushing, and with this luck point, you lose sight of Kalyak in the crowd.
I'll see your luck point and raise you one.
Sure. You want to race me?
No.
You've lost sight of the divine arcane while the apostate synod invades this city. The last thing you see, Onslus, is a lily white hand reaching out. There are people everywhere dying. Blades are drawn. Arrows are flying. And the apostate synod is in mass, in numbers, as they circle all of you. Onslus, what do you do?
They're circling us.
Yes.
Are my companions by me?
Yes.
I very quickly reach into my bag, and for the speed at which I have to do this, I am going to use point of luck and say that while this cacophony of chaos is erupting, he already is digging through his things. He always has a satchel at his side ready to go. And he removes from it a small carved idol and a unmarked jar. He opens the jar, kneeling on the ground, placing the idol onto the ground as he does so, glancing up sporadically to look about him to see if they've gotten too closer than comfort, making sure his companions are at his side. And he begins reciting verses from one of his tomes. As he does so, he is drowning this idol in the contents of the jar. Radek would know it if he was to look to it. It is honey. It is the darkest, richest, purest honey you've probably seen in a long time. Something he probably bought off of you ages ago and has kept in his bag. And as he is reciting these verses, with each line, he is dousing this idol more and more, laying on the ground. And I am casting slow on everyone in a 40-foot radius of me.
Excellent. It's like they're walking through that honey. Their legs are sluggish. Arrows sort of seem to just drift mid-air. We'll get to this. Lash, what are you doing?
Am I affected by this slow?
No.
Lesh would grin and take the utmost advantage of their slowed nature and see just how many heads he can collect before the spell wears off.
Which sword are you drawing?
My silver sword. I am not drawing the black blade, not yet.
Okay. So you're just hacking through bodies.
Oh, I am very much... Oh, you're moving slowly. I love how your shoulders sit. Just one after another after another.
I'll allow it. Excellent. And finally, Radek.
Radek cares for only one thing. I'm calling Yaga down. I want to spot Cyril, and I want to find where he is. And when I do, I am going to use my staff, which allows me to summon an animal. Now, I don't know if I can choose the animal or if it has to be something that's in the area.
It would have to be something that's within the area. You know that this area is filled with foxes, wolves, deer, stag, a wild boar would be a common animal out here. And you're close to the mountains. Mountain lion.
I do like the mountain lion idea, but I am actually going to, I think, summon a stag. And the idea behind that is that I'm doing it in some ways to honor the Leshy, but what I want the stag to do is I want the stag to I'm going to direct it, once I found my brother, I'm going to direct it to charge at him and, if needs be, kill the horse, but try to unhorse him and bring him down with its woods and haul him to the ground so that I can get to him. I will at the same time direct Yaga to attack him, attack his eyes, attack his face. I see only him.
I'm going to use another luck.
Okay, I'm going to use a luck to counter you because I don't like the sound of that.
No, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
That's fine. You can do all of those things. You will find Cyril the moment that he sees the stag coming for him. He is holding Kaliak and he is going to put her in harm's way to stop the stag.
I don't care. All I care about is him.
I'm going to roll a percentile die to make a decision.
But I will spend a luck point so that somehow the stag manages to sort of swerve and cut around and not hit her. I will spend a luck point for that, but I'm not stopping him.
I rolled a percentile die, and I rolled higher than I thought I would. You hear it. You hear the heavy thudding footsteps of the black wolf. It's in the tree line not far from here. It doesn't attack yet, but it's near. But to react to that, you do well in unhorsing Cyril. The horse is gored and drops. But Cyril keeps hold of Kaliak. And he stammers to his feet and he sees that stag. His men are beginning to surround him in a protective circle. He's pulled up on a horse and they ride more. Onsilis, what are you doing?
How far are they from us?
Cyril and Kaliak?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say with enough riding, probably 100, 150 feet.
What's the scene around me looking like right now? After
Chaos.
this first round?
Mass chaos. You have to remember it's not just the apostate synod in the area, but it is also the citizens of the city.
Right.
The army, the militia within the city really hasn't quite gotten time to react yet. They weren't really expecting an attack from the apostate synod. They were not prepared for this. But it is chaos. It is women and children screaming and running for their lives. It is men trying to clamber back to their homes to find their weapons and to rally others. It is Artyom trying to rear back on his horse to get through the crowd to help.
I think he pours another bit of honey over the idol, keeping that stillness in their close vicinity. And do we know how far our horses are right now?
Your horses are back down closer to the front of the town. So probably like a 5-10 minute walk.
Okay. So we'd have to move the opposite direction from...
Yeah, from where they're going. They're going from behind the Crawl's home.
I think he shouts to his companions, we're going to have to leave. The spell won't hold much longer, but we're going to have to get out of here and do our best to track them. The horses, I can hold it another few minutes, but now is our chance to run to get to the horses.
Lesh.
So they have successfully exited the town.
They are on their way out of the town. They have Kaliak with them.
Could I burn a luck to influence NPCs?
Don't burn a luck for that. These people are on your side.
No, more along the lines of those guards that I took care of buy us a few more minutes to get a little closer to them so they don't have as much of a lead on us.
So they are on the complete opposite side of the town.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'd say, yeah, you could probably do that, but they're
okay.
Other side of the town.
I think if that, Lesh would make for the horses. Unless there was a way for him to intercept.
1 minute.
What's your question?
What the fuck? These apostates not. They came in on horses.
Mm-hmm.
Are these men in front of us, like, on fucking horses? Slowed right now?
Yeah, take a horse.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I forgot about that. I would like to redact what I said earlier.
Sure, that's fine.
And I think he just, like, looks up and says, take the horses. The men on the horses, kill them. Let's take their horses.
I would like to think that in this moment, Lesh pulls his best Legolas, taking advantage of the slowness and just kind of hurls his ass up onto a horse, knocking one of them off.
Yeah, I think that's great. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, Radek, are you grabbing a horse?
No, I think I'm gonna grab the stag.
You're gonna ride the stag?
Yeah.
I'm into that. Hell yeah, that's fucking badass. Yes. Awesome. And Onslus, you grab a rider off the horse. They're slowed.
I think that Onslus looks up to Lesh.
Oh, Lesh has a hand down, ready to grab him.
Yeah, he's jumping on Lesh's horse so he can continue to cast if he so chooses.
Yeah, Hanselus needs his hands. We're good.
Yeah, very much so. I think like he looks up at you like, and there's just like an unspoken exchange there, and he like one hand grabs his things off the ground and the other is being lifted up and thrown on the back of this horse by Lesh.
You look up and you hear something cawing as you are beginning to ride. The three-legged crow. Death. He's swooping and falling, and he's sort of whizzing in and out between Yaga and the riders, and he is trying to gain on Cyril and his men as you ride. Cyril has made headway. They are riding hard and fast. And you hear it. Chink, chink. The sound of coins rattling in something metal. Do you look for the sound?
I think Onslus can't help himself but to do so.
God damn it.
I'm sorry, he's curious like a little cat.
Two plates of gold fuse together in a rotund body that lead up to a pointed helmet rising to the sky. Chainmail underneath the body worms its way and looks to be more akin to flesh than it does armor. Its legs are stumpy and short. It walks more like a waddle of a duck. But its hammer, it rises high, is massive. That Lord of Blight that everyone referred to as sounding like coins in metal stands 20, 30 feet high.
Request to do some seriously badass shit.
Use a luck point.
I would like to use, because Lesh right now is absolutely shitting himself with determination. I think that he looks back at Onsilus, hands Onsilus the reins, jumps from the horse at the Lord of Blight, drawing the black sword, and says, "You will not deter us."